Morning. There are now 11 confirmed fatalities. We believe dozens more are injured, some seriously, and the number of dead could rise in the coming days or weeks. The most critically injured were transported by ambulance to 9 different hospitals throughout Metro Vancouver. The driver of the vehicle was the lone occupant, and he was arrested at the crime scene by members of the Vancouver Police Department after bystanders and witnesses intervened to detain him. He remains in custody. While I'm not prepared to speak about the potential motive, I can now say with confidence that the evidence in this case does not lead us to believe this was an act of terrorism. I can also tell you that the person we have in custody does have a significant history of interactions with police and healthcare professionals related to mental health.
What can you tell us about the victims, their ages, their genders, whether their families have been notified?
So what I can tell you, mixed genders, male, female, and young people. I can't get into ages and that, but it's just a tragedy all around for many families.
We heard reports of an infant, a baby among the dead. Can you confirm that?
They were young people. This is the darkest day in our city's history. Last night, as thousands of members of Vancouver's Filipino community gathered for an important cultural celebration, the actions of a single person shattered our collective sense of safety. It is impossible to overstate how many lives have been impacted forever by this lone individual. Here's what I'm able to share with you this morning. Shortly after 8 last night, Saturday, April 26th, a man driving a black Audi SUV drove into a large crowd of people at the Lapu-Lapu Street Festival in South Vancouver. This festival, which is a celebration of Filipino community and culture, had been taking place all day in and around the grounds of a school located at 41st and Fraser Street. It was expected that tens of thousands of people would attend throughout the day. Although it was scheduled to wrap up at 8 p.m., there were still many people in the area when the incident occurred. The vehicle that struck festival goers approached the festival area from the west on East 43rd Avenue. It entered a small crowd enclosed area and drove through the crowd. There were hundreds of festival goers still on the street, and multiple people were struck by the vehicle. It is hard to make sense of something so senseless, and I know there are questions about whether this tragedy could have been prevented. The Vancouver Police Department worked with the City of Vancouver to conduct a risk assessment prior to the Lapu-Lapu Festival, and there were no known threats to the event or to the Filipino community. We review over 3,200 events every year and assess the risks with city partners. This event was no exception. While I'm confident the joint risk assessment and public safety plan was sound, we will be working with our partners at the City of Vancouver to review all of the circumstances surrounding the planning of this event.
Were there any barriers?
We're reviewing that. So like I said, the actual event was occurring in a closed area of that high school. And there was no access to vehicles for the main part of it, of the area. The area where the tragedy occurred was lined with food trucks, and that's what that street was meant for. And there was, there were no barriers denying people access to those food trucks.
Do you know why it was this event that this person drove a vehicle into?
So for terrorism, there should be some political, religious ideation behind it. There's no indicators that this individual had that. And obviously the history we have with him leans towards that there wasn't any other indicators.
Does he live around the area?
It's fair to say he's a Vancouver resident. I would say at the beginning, I said it's the darkest day in Vancouver's history, and stand by that.